are glazed on the inside. I don't know if you can see that, but it's not the kind you just buy at the garden center. We've put a clear glaze in the inside and fired them in the kiln, because that way when you put the acrylic based paint on the outside, it will not get sticky or tacky when there's water. Okay, so you water your plant. I've had my planters just like this outside all summer last summer, and they were great. But the key thing is to have the inside glazed. And then for the purpose of the pour, I have a little piece of tape over the hole on the inside. I'm using a couple of cups, which will come in your kit, to keep it up off the bottom of the tin, which will come in your kit, so that you can, so that the paint can drain off. So I'm going to take one of the cups that, you know, I feel like a broken record, that comes in your kit, and I'm going to layer some different colored paints in there, okay? And I like to make lots of, you know, take the extra time and do lots of layers. Little bit of paint at a time. So your kit will come with 3 regular colors of your choice and a metallic, or if you don't want metallic, you can, you can have a 4th color. Usually comes with lots of white, because white is actually very key. I'm going to fill this up, and because this takes a lot of paint, but since I'm trying to just show this to you, not keep you here all day, probably will at some point just start pouring. Okay, what am I missing here? Time for more green. Okay. Since I always start with white, so I'm going to end with white, because actually, obviously, so you can figure out that's going to be, whoops, sorry if I go off camera, that's going to be the color that I start with. And what I'm going to do is, I don't really worry about the top. What I want to do is kind of go around the edges, okay? You guys can see this. I actually don't need to, since I'm wearing gloves, I don't mind if I get paint on my hands. And it's pretty easy. I don't care about the bottom, so I don't pour there, because otherwise it tends to puddle, which makes me sad. So I tend to go on the sides, and then once I've got it started, then you can just keep going around in circles if you want, okay? Or you can pour down one side, you can just go all over the place and just add as you go. And just let it pour down. You guys can see that? Live a little. It's kind of fun and messy. All right, I'm just going to put it on its little holders now, since it's getting pretty full, and then I can look around. One of the things I love about doing these on the terracotta is that even if there are blank spots where the terracotta shows through, it's so pretty that it looks really good. So you can tap on it with your cup if you're trying to fill in some blank spots. No problem. All right, there's some blanks over here, but not too much. Whoops, I just dumped my cup because my hands were cookie. All right, so now let's just say you're doing it and you wish you had more of one color or another color on the side. That's not a problem. Just refill your cup and pour more on there. You can just keep pouring it, okay, until you're done. And I'm just going to take off my glove real quick so I can move the camera and kind of show you what this looks like. All right, so I'm now just going to show you, whoops, how this is coming out. I know it's still upside down, whoops, but you get the basic idea of it. And you get some really cool little cell action in there. So, and then again, you're going to leave it here to dry for at least 2 days. And then just, if there's any glaze on the inside, like you can turn, let me take that back. You want to leave it here for a few hours till it basically sets, and then turn it up right side up. And then you can use just a wet paper towel or sponge to, well, not a sponge you would use for something else, to just clean up the inside ridge and any of the paint that's on the outside without really touching this part. But you can start to get the paint off any of the glazed part. It should come right up. You could always use a tiny bit of rubbing alcohol if you need to. Let that be cleaned up, and then let it sit for at least 36 hours before you plant in it. Enjoy!